is on the air. What a way to begin the week. And yes, we do got next. Baseball season.
Next.
It's here.
It was here like after the first quarter.
Yeah, good point.
It's here.
Good point. Harold Reynolds, Robert Flores, Lauren Shahadi, Keith Costas. We're running 4 wide here on a Friday. Matty V will be back on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday.
Today's Monday. Not Friday, but you know,
yeah,
we're
good
off
point.
to a good start.
I believe, is it Wednesday you guys are going to New York City to do the show?
That is true. That is
from the MLB store to hype pitchers and catchers reporting all across the league, although the Cubs and Dodgers, they've reported a little bit early.
Yeah, they're going to Japan.
They're going to Japan, so they're going to be there.
It's going to be good. The official day, so to speak.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Well, the you know, now that baseball season is here, as you said, the big game, Super Bowl 59, didn't quite materialize the way many of us non-Eagle, non-Chief supporters would have hoped. Jalen Hurts, shout out to him, responsible for 3 touchdowns. He's the Super Bowl MVP. That one to fellow Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith, and it was all over but the crime. The Chiefs harassed Patrick Mahomes all night. They didn't how many times did they blitz?
They did not blitz.
Just their front 4 got home consistently, and the Chiefs' run of 2 consecutive Super Bowls will stop
look that
there.
Bad at the end.
There will be no 3 consecutive championships for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles and their fans. So that begs the question, when will we see a three-peat in Major League Baseball? The last time we saw it, of course, that great Yankee team, 98, 99, and 2000.
Too hard to do. I don't think we'll see it. I mean, the Dodgers are set up right now.
That would be that's the likely team if you had to pick one, right?
They're coming off one right now, and they're better, but it's going to be very difficult to do.
Yeah.
I could honestly see the Dodger team doing this.
Me too. Me too.
I could see it.
Don't forget, don't sleep on that great Oakland A team. Reggie Jackson, Joe Rudy, Sal Bando. They did Raleigh Fingers, 72 to 74. They did it. It's amazing that story of that team. They just absolutely hated their owner.
Yeah.
But they continued to win, and what a great collection of superstars.
I just think, see, I love when you have dynasties, and you appreciate it and respect it because it's so hard to do.
Yeah.
You just don't have it come on. I mean, we've been playing baseball how many years? And those are the only ones that we've ever seen. Dynasties
are great for the sports.
Yeah.
No matter the sport, it's great for the league.
So I grew up in Oregon, in Corvallis, and we lived across the street from the Coliseum at Oregon State, and we were ball boys for all John Wooden's teams that came through.
Yeah.
And the Bruins won 88 straight at one point, and then they lost to Notre Dame. And I remember crying as a kid because the streak came to an end. But it was great to see that. And my brother Larry used to always say, appreciate greatness when it's upon you.
That's right.
You won't see it again.
That's right.
And we haven't. And you won't. Now, South Carolina women lost the other day.
They did. They lost yesterday to the University of Texas.
Yeah, 57 straight league wins. And
but Dawn Staley, who is a huge Philadelphia fan, she was loving the Eagles win. So while you were watching the big game, there were some transactions that happened, particularly, speaking of the Dodgers, look at Sean Casey looking good in
I like that, the big game.
The big game. I don't think we're allowed to say Schmooper Bowl, or maybe we're not. I don't know. But this tweet here from Fabian Ardaya, who covers the Dodgers for The Athletic. Kike Hernandez in agreement to go back to the Dodgers, and I believe it was Kike himself who broke the news. So Kike Hernandez going back to the Dodgers. He's one of the great postseason players of his generation.
Of all time. And start stacking the numbers.
And it just makes sense that he would stay and return to go to Los Angeles. My question is, Harold, how are they going to keep? They feel like they have 50 guys on their 40-man roster. I mean, this is a guy that obviously plays multiple positions, but it is going to be interesting to see how their roster lays out.
Yeah, well, the biggest number is the pitchers. So somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get traded. They're still set up for moves if they want to do.
Because you have Chris Taylor, that's he's very, positional flexibility.
You have
Edman. You have Max Muncy, who can play multiple positions.
But it's really running it back. It's the same players, right? I mean, it really is. There's no
Hyun Kim. comes over from Korea.
Ha-Seong Kim is the guy that's going to be an interesting change. But they still,
I mean,
Muncy right now is going to play third, and we'll see what happens there. Michael Conforto fills a hole in the outfield. He takes basically Jason Hayward's spot. You know, if you go back to last year and you compare it where it's at, Teoscar was there. Conforto is Jason Hayward.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't have Edmund, who they do now, and that was Kim. And Kike wasn't there in the beginning of the year. They made the trade to get him. So there's some new additions, but they're better.
Oh, absolutely.
They're deep. They're depth. I think we all learned one thing through COVID, and I think it was because of the protocols and this guy's sick, so he's gone for 10 days, that you win with a full complement of your organization. It is not just your 25-man or 26-man now roster. It's the whole organization. Not even the 40-man roster guarantees you're going to get through it.
I wonder, and I think
kind of what I see with the Dodgers.
And I think this is something we'll have to monitor as the spring goes on. Are they going to trade one of their existing pieces just because there's no room? Maybe a Pajes or an Outman or someone like that. I'm just throwing a couple of names out there.
Now you're set up. If you want to go get, let's say, Nolan Arenado, and you say we need a true third baseman.
Yeah.
You're set up to go make that move. I mean, they traded Gavin Lux, and we're not even talking about it.
No.
That's the depth that they have.
Yeah, it's a remarkable organization, top to bottom, as you said, and it is a well-oiled machine. Now, Kike Hernandez.
So earlier in the show, Joel Sherman gave us his biggest question marks heading into spring. The Dodgers get their own separate list, just because. You know why. Joel Sherman, good Monday morning again to you. At the top of it is the plan for Shohei Ohtani. Perfect world. What does this year look like for Shohei, Joel?
Yeah, you know, they get their own list because they'll never say it out loud, but they think they've already clinched the NL West. So they're thinking October in February and March and April. So the question is, how do you get Shohei Ohtani through October to be part of that rotation? And so I think there's a little track record here. He made 23 starts for the Angels in 2021 coming off of Tommy John surgery. So say you limit that to 20, thinking he's going to get other starts. That probably puts you mid-May, maybe the 1st of June as that. So I don't think you'll see him starting games in spring training. The other thing is this guy is a real habitual guy. So I think once he starts, he doesn't want to do a start and stop. And so therefore, I think, and then the question becomes, how do you rehab a guy who's in your starting lineup every day? It isn't like you could send him out on assignment. I expect to see a lot of Rancho Cucamonga Quakes coming up to Dodger Stadium. There'll be a bunch of simulated games, and they'll try to get him ready. Let's not forget that at the end of last season, the Dodgers were weighing whether to make him available as even a relief pitcher in the postseason. He was throwing 93 with a split. So they feel he's a healthy pitcher going into now, but they are slow playing this so that he's an October starting pitcher.
Come up and face Shohei. Have fun. While you're here, all the arms allow him, as you said, Joel, to kind of ease into it. Who's playing shortstop? I saw, and Robert and Harold reported, Kike Hernandez back with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Who's at short this year?
Well, Mookie Betts played 61 games there last year, kind of almost out of emergency. If you remember, Gavin Lux had some throwing issues in spring training, and Betts said, I'll do it. He wasn't real pleased with how he did it. And anybody who knows Betts, he's kind of fanatical about doing things well. I've heard he's really going at this. High schools in Los Angeles, then down to their facility in Arizona, working with Chris Woodward. Harold would probably speak to this better. The key thing being, you know, an outfielder usually throws from one angle. He's been working on all the different throwing angles. And I heard he still has a little chip on his shoulder that as the young player soon drafted by the Red Sox, he was quickly moved off a shortstop. And all these years later would like to prove that he's a high-level shortstop.
The great ones are different, right? Mookie is amazing. We've talked with Dave Roberts extensively, and he always says his versatility allows him so much freedom. Mookie Betts, Roki. It's so interesting with Roki Sasaki because so often we hear about talent, right? And this guy's talent's off the charts. But before they do anything, how do we know it's going to translate? When you watch him, you just know with this guy, Joel?
Well, a year ago, he was being compared at the same age to Paul Skeens, and we saw what Paul Skeens did last season. So do you get something similar? The question is how to break him in. And again, I can't stress this enough with everything with the Dodgers. They are thinking about Sasaki starting games in October. How will they get there? Six-man rotation is going to be part of this. You know, they're ultimately going to have three Japanese pitchers, Sasaki, Yamamoto, and Ohtani, guys who are used to pitching once a week in Japan. Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin didn't even pitch last year. By the way, you know what's happening tomorrow? Dustin May is throwing a bullpen tomorrow. Tony Gonsolin on Wednesday. They're both expected to be full-go starters going into this. 134 innings for Tyler Glasnow last year, which was a career high, but then he got hurt, and so didn't pitch in the postseason. And so the only kind of fully guy who they believe can go to nuts is Blake Snell, but he got his big money, so it's a little easy to tell him he's in a six-man rotation. And then you see these other names like Bobby Miller, Landon Knox, Justin Wroblewski. At some point, Emmett Sheehan is going to come back from Tommy John. So I doubt anyone in this rotation will throw 150 innings, including Sasaki. It's a soft entry, thinking big picture in October.
Where's Kershaw? I don't see it. I keep thinking, is that the finishing touch for the Dodgers?
But they need more starting pitching. Yes, at some point, Lauren, he's going to sign. Today is an important day for the Dodgers. Them and the Cubs get to do this a little earlier than everybody else because they're going to play games in Tokyo to open the season in mid-March. Players could be put on the 60-day injured list starting today for the Dodgers. And if you'll notice, Enrique Hernandez announced himself that he had re-signed. It had been also slow played so that they could put guys on the 60-day IL, which allows 40-man roster spots to open up. So they have a bunch of pitchers like Emmett Sheehan, who has to go on it, River Ryan, etc., who have to go on the 60-day IL. So Hernandez signed, and I think at some point soon Kershaw will. But Kershaw had both, I think it was a foot and knee surgery in the offseason because he wants to try. He had these surgeries because he wants to try. So he is a June or July issue, but at some point soon he'll probably sign a contract and begin rehabbing officially with the team and see if he can make it back to be part of that rotation in some way.
What about at the helm, top step, Dave Roberts? I remember, Joel, right after the Dodgers won the World Series, I was talking to Freddie Freeman, and he said, I hope, that guy right there, I hope Dave Roberts gets his flowers because the way he managed the bullpen, and Freddie Freeman was so emotional talking about his skipper. What is his long-term future there?
You know what's interesting overall, Lauren, is the two World Series managers, Dave Roberts and Aaron Boone, both enter spring training as lame ducks. This is the last year of their contracts. And I think both teams are going to try to do something about that. I believe the Dodgers and Roberts began to engage more seriously last week. But, you know, Roberts is looking at someone like Craig Counsell, who got the record contract, 5 years at $40 million. And I just want to name some things that Dave Roberts has done. 9 years, 9 playoffs, 8 division titles. The year he didn't win a division title, his team won 106 games, 4 pennants, 2 championships, the 3 highest win totals in franchise history, the best winning percentage by a major league manager with 1,000 games. He probably is looking at Craig Counsell and saying, like, Craig Counsell hasn't gotten a team to the World Series. He's getting this. I think the Dodgers look at Roberts as part of the machine, but I think it's dangerous to think anyone could just manage what is now the new evil empire. The Dodgers are going to have a lot of pressure on them. There's been talk about them winning 120 games. It's championship or bust. The one thing you know is Dave Roberts could land the planes, and there would be some real mystery if the next person can. And so I wonder, for a team that's going to have between salary, payroll, and luxury tax will spend over $500 million this year, should there really be a thumb down on the manager for the difference between $1 million or $2 million to get him where he needs to go when you know he could land the planes? It will be an issue heading towards the season if this gets done.
And you manage baseball, personality, staff. It's a big-time job. Joel Sherman, how many wins do the Dodgers have this year? 105?
I think it's harder. Yeah, I think it's harder to get to that, like 116, 117. But I mean, you know, like the 105 feels like a breeze for them considering the talent level. Considering they signed someone like Kike Hernandez, and it feels like an extra guy, and he's a really good baseball player.
Especially in October.
He got glasses just before the All-Star game last year, and in the second half had almost an 800 OPS. And I wonder if he's going to be much better doing it.
Joel Sherman.
I gotta go, Lauren. I got to get on a plane. I'm going to spring training today.
Go. I told you off.
Get out of here, Joel.
No big deal. You're making me smarter.
Hey, Joel, real quick. There's a good chance your flight's going to be delayed, so you're good.
Yes.
You're probably
clear, Joel?
I'm going to get a knapsack and walk to Florida.
There we go. Thank you, Joel. Safe travels. We'll see you in Florida and Arizona or wherever your destination takes you. He had something interesting that I know you were wondering about.
Well, two things stood out to me. One, Dave Roberts. He went from the guy that was, Dave Roberts is going to get let go, to he's a huge part of this whole thing. I mean, in the center. The one thing that Dave has done, if you spend time around him, is knowing all the players. It's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to put that out there. It's another thing to be able to punch somebody's buttons, have conversations, guys come in his office. He's a big part of this whole thing.
Yep.
And being able, and the Dodgers are a huge marketing machine. Dave Roberts understands the marketing of this machine as well. Now, the other thing that caught my mind when Joel was talking was Shohei Ohtani. It's not going to be as easy as they think, getting him games to pitch in the minor leagues. We're talking about the MVP of the National League.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers aren't just going to say,
how's that going to work?
You're not going to hit Shohei. You got to go to Lake Elsinore and pitch. Now, unless I'm wrong with the rules, I didn't know you could be on a minor league roster and a big league roster at the same time. So can he go down and pitch one day and then come back and be active the next?
That's a good question.
I guess I can figure all that out, but that's what you're going to see happen. So it's not as easy as if he was in spring training and he can throw one day and will hit the next and all that.
Well, it probably helps that they have 37 starting pitchers.
Yeah,
so
they got pitching.
They got a little wiggle room. So as Joel said, hey, they're thinking about October right now.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's take a quick timeout. But before we do, remember, we used up our allotment of 30 seconds of Super Bowl video. So once again, it's another edition of Super Low Licks.
ついに待ちに待ったシーズンが幕を開けるロサンゼルス・ドジャースの2024年はただのシーズンではない。これまでのどの年とも違う新たな歴史が刻まれる1年になる。翔平・大谷の加入、山本由伸のメジャーデビュー、佐々木朗まれの登場、そして既存のスター選手たちとの融合。このチームがどのような奇跡を描くのか想像するだけで胸が高鳴る。ここ数年ドジャースは強豪として君臨し続けてきた。だが今季のチームはこれまでのどのドジャースよりも完全無欠に近い。投手陣には山本由伸、佐々木朗希、そして復帰を目指す翔平・大谷という日本を代表する3人が潤い、そこにタイラー・グラスノー、ブレイク・スネル、ダスティン・メイ、トニー・ゴゾリンといった実力派投手が名を連ねる。ここまでの投手層の厚さはまさに異次元だ。先発ローテーションが確立すればどの試合でも相手に主導権を握らせることなく自分たちのペースで試合を運ぶことができるだろう。そして打線もまた他を圧倒する破壊力を備えている。ムーキー・ベッツがショートストップに挑戦し、フレディ・フリーマンは変わらぬ安定感を発揮。マックス・マンシーやウィル・スミスも健在で、新加入のキケ・ヘルナンデスやハソン・キムが加わったことで、さらに厚みのある戦へと進化した。控えには、クリス・テイラーやアイケル・コンフォートといった頼もしい選手たちが控え、どのポジションでも柔軟に対応できるのがこのチームの強みだ。だが、ドジャースの真の強さは、単なるター選手の集まりではなく、チームとしての結束力にある。個々の才能が最大限に発揮される環境が整っており、選手たちは互いを支え合いながら最高のプレーを追求している。このチームは個々の能力の高さ以上に団結力と戦術の精度の高さによって 勝利を積み重ねていくことだろう。最大の注目ポイントは、やはり翔平・大谷の復帰のタイミングだ。現在の計画では、5月から6月にかけてマウンドに戻ることが想定されており、ポストシーズンを見据えた慎重な調整が進められている。大谷が二刀流として再び完全復活すれば、ドジャースの戦力はさらに飛躍的に向上する。これにより、シーズン終盤からプレーオフにかけて、ドジャースは他チームを圧倒する存在となるだろう。さらに、ドジャースは常に補強の可能性を探っている。シーズンが進むにつれて、もしチームにあと一歩が必要だと判断された場合、ノーラン・アレナドのようなスター選手をトレードで獲得する可能性もある。フロントオフィスはすでに強力な戦力を整えているが、状況に応じてさらなる強化を図ることも十分考えられる。これがドジャースの強さであり、ただの強豪チームではなく、常に進化し続ける指揮としての姿勢を示している。今季のドジャースは、単なるシーズンを戦うチームではなく、歴史を作るためのチームだ。すでに多くの専門家が120勝も現実的な数字だと語るほど、そのポテンシャルは計り知れない。勝利を積み重ね、リーグを制し、そしてワールドシリーズの頂点へとたどり着くその瞬間が訪れるまで、目が離せない一年になるだろう。さて、ここまで読んでくれた皆さんは、今季のドジャースで最も期待していることは何だろうか。大谷翔平の復帰戦か、それともヤンキースとの歴史的対決か、あるいは山本由伸のメジャーデビューか。ぜひコメントであなたの意見を聞かせてほしい。このチャンネルでは、ドジャースの最新情報をどこよりも早く詳しくお届けする。もしまだチャンネル登録をしていないなら、今すぐ登録してほしい。これからのシーズン、一緒にドジャースの伝説を見届けよう。